Imagine this. You're sitting alone in your kitchen at 2 a.m., the house completely silent except for the ticking clock. Your husband is away on another business trip. His old backup phone is charging on the counter because he forgot it in the rush. You pick it up just to check the weather for him tomorrow. Your thumb swipes across the screen and a notification pops up. A single text from a contact saved only as S. 3 simple words that rip your entire life apart. Lily misses her daddy. Your heart stops. The phone feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. You tell yourself it's nothing. A wrong number, a client's kid. But your fingers are already moving, opening the message thread. Hundreds of texts stretch back years. Photos of a beautiful little girl with dark curls and eyes that look heartbreakingly familiar. And videos of her laughing as a man pushes her on a swing. That man is your husband, Henry. Smiling wider than you've seen him smile in years. The caption on the latest photo reads, "Daddy loves you more than anything, princess." Sent just last week while he was telling you he had to work late again. In that moment, 15 years of marriage shatter like glass. Welcome to Betrayal and Revenge Stories. Today we're telling the devastating, true, inspired tale of Jaffry Thompson, a woman who thought she had the perfect life until she discovered her husband had been living a complete double life with a secret child. This story has everything: shock, heartbreak, identity crises, brutal courtroom battles, and a revenge so calculated and ice cold it will leave you cheering. If you love stories where the betrayed finally rise, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button right now if you've ever felt your world flip upside down, and let's dive in. Jaffry and Henry Thompson were the couple everyone in their suburban neighborhood envied. They lived in a beautiful colonial-style home with a white picket fence and a backyard perfect for summer barbecues. Henry was the charismatic founder of Thompson Investments, a thriving firm that handled portfolios for some of the city's wealthiest clients. Tall, charming, always impeccably dressed, he had that effortless way of making people feel important. Jaffry, on the other hand, was the warm heart of their home. She ran a successful interior design business from her home studio, creating cozy, elegant spaces for clients while dreaming quietly of the day they would finally fill their own nursery. They had been trying for a baby almost from the beginning. After their dreamy destination wedding in Italy, Jaffry stopped birth control and they started what they called Project Family. Months turned into years. Doctor visits, hormone treatments, invasive tests, tears in sterile rooms. Henry would hold her afterward, stroking her hair and whispering, "It's okay, babe. You are my family. We don't need a baby to be complete. I love you exactly as you are." Those words kept her going through the darkest nights of self-doubt. She believed him completely. Why wouldn't she? He was her rock. But small cracks began appearing about 3 years before everything exploded. Henry started traveling more for important client meetings. His phone was suddenly always on silent or face down. Once, Jaffry found a woman's perfume lingering on his shirt collar when she did the laundry. She asked him about it lightly over dinner. He laughed it off, saying it must have been from a female client who hugged him goodbye. "You know how some people are," he said, kissing her forehead. "Trust me, Jaffry. There's only one woman in my life." She smiled and let it go. Trust was the foundation they had built everything on. Or so she thought. Then came that rainy Tuesday night that changed everything forever. Henry was rushing out the door for an early flight to Chicago. In his haste, he left his backup phone on the kitchen island. Jaffry's own phone had died, so she picked his up to check the forecast for his arrival. That's when the notification appeared. Lily misses her daddy, sent at 7:42 p.m. the night before. Jaffry's stomach twisted into a knot. She sat down slowly on the bar stool, her legs suddenly weak. She opened the thread. What she found wasn't a one-time mistake. It was an entire parallel universe. Messages dating back 11 years. Loving texts, inside jokes, plans for weekends, school updates, dance recitals, photos of Lily at every age, newborn wrapped in a pink blanket, toddler taking her first steps, a gap-toothed 7-year-old blowing out birthday candles with Henry kneeling beside her, both wearing matching party hats. In one video, Henry's voice, warm and playful, says, "That's my girl. Daddy's so proud of you." Jaffry watched it 3 times, tears blurring the screen. The timeline hit her like a freight train. The affair had started just 2 months after their honeymoon in Italy. But while Jaffry was posting happy couple photos online, Henry was sneaking away to meet Marina, his high school sweetheart, who had apparently never left his heart. Lily was conceived shortly after that, 9 years old now. Born while Jaffry was undergoing her first round of fertility treatments, sitting alone in waiting rooms, wondering why her body was failing her while her husband was secretly becoming a father somewhere else. Jaffry didn't scream. She didn't throw the phone. She just sat there on the cold kitchen floor until dawn broke, scrolling through every message, every bank transfer labeled tuition or dance classes that had come from their joint account. The money they were supposed to be saving for their own future, for the baby they could never seem to have. And all of it had been quietly siphoned away to support this hidden family. When Henry's flight landed that night, Jaffry was waiting in the living room, lights dim, the backup phone placed neatly on the coffee table with the photo of Lily glowing on the screen. Henry walked in, loosening his tie, smiling that familiar smile until he saw her face. "Jaffry? What's wrong, babe?" She didn't raise her voice. She simply said, "Henry, who is Lily?" The color drained from his face instantly. For one terrifying second, he looked like a completely different man. Then the mask snapped back into place. He dropped his suitcase and stepped toward her, hands raised. "Jaffry, baby, it's not what you think. Let me explain." "Explain?" Her voice cracked but stayed low. "I read 11 years of messages, and I saw the ultrasound you sent Marina the same week I was in the hospital getting my fertility results. I saw the money transfers. So don't you dare tell me it's not what I think." Henry sank onto the couch, head in his hands. The tears came then. Real ones. Or at least they looked real. "It was a mistake. Marina and I, we had history. It started right after the wedding. I was stressed. You were focused on starting your design business, and I felt neglected. It only happened a few times. Then she got pregnant. I panicked. I didn't want to lose you. I thought if I supported Lily quietly, it would just go away." Jaffry laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "A few times? You've been sending her 'I love you both' texts for a decade. You have a whole apartment 2 towns over. As you've been living 2 lives while I sat here wondering why God wouldn't let me give you a child." Henry tried everything that night, begging, promises to end it immediately, blaming work stress, even suggesting couples therapy. But the damage was done. Jaffry moved into the guest room that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every anniversary dinner, every time he held her after a negative pregnancy test, every "you're enough" he had whispered. All of it felt poisoned now, tainted by the secret family he had been building behind her back. The next morning, the real nightmare began. Jaffry didn't confront him again right away. Instead, she did what any smart woman in her position would do. She hired the best divorce attorney in the state and a discreet private investigator. That while Henry was at the office, pretending everything was normal, the investigator started digging. What he uncovered over the following weeks was even worse than the texts. Marina wasn't just an old flame who got pregnant by accident. She was Henry's on-again, off-again lover since high school. They had reconnected at a reunion shortly before the wedding. The affair had been emotional and physical for years. Henry had been paying for Lily's elite private school, her dance lessons, her summer camps, all while telling Jaffry they needed to tighten the budget because business was slow. He even had a secret 2-bedroom apartment where he kept clothes, toys, and photos of Lily on the walls. A complete second home. One afternoon, while Henry was in a client meeting, Jaffry went to that apartment with the investigator, and she stood in the living room touching the tiny pink backpack with Lily Thompson embroidered on it. She opened the fridge and found Henry's favorite beer and the brand of juice Lily apparently loved. In the bedroom closet hung shirts she had bought him for Father's Day, mixed with children's drawings taped to the walls. Jaffry sat on the edge of the bed and cried for the first time since the discovery. Not loud, angry sobs, quiet, soul-deep tears for the version of herself that had been completely erased from her own marriage. When she got home that evening, Henry was already there, looking nervous. "Where were you?" he asked. Jaffry looked him straight in the eyes. "I was visiting your other home, the one with Lily's drawings on the wall." Henry's face crumpled. He tried denial at first, then anger, then bargaining. "Yeah, this doesn't have to destroy us, Jaffry. We can go to counseling. I'll cut all contact with Marina. We can still have the life we planned." But Jaffry had already changed. The warm, trusting woman who once believed every word was gone. In her place was someone colder, sharper, and determined. "The life we planned died the day Lily was born while I was crying in a fertility clinic. You made your choice 11 years ago. Now I'm making mine." The divorce filing hit Henry like a bomb. He fought back hard. He told their mutual friends that Jaffry was unstable and obsessed with imaginary betrayal. He tried to freeze their joint accounts, claiming she was spending recklessly out of spite. He even suggested to their circle that her inability to have children had made her bitter and paranoid. Some people believed him, and whispers started at the country club. Jaffry's own mother called, worried. "Maybe you should try to work it out, honey. Men make mistakes." But Jaffry had saved everything. Every screenshot, every bank statement, every loving voice message Henry had left for Lily while Jaffry sat alone on their anniversary. Her attorney built an ironclad case showing years of financial deception and emotional abandonment. Then the custody battle began, and it nearly broke her completely. Marina filed papers seeking full custody of Lily, painting Henry as the devoted, involved father who had always been there. Henry's legal team argued that Jaffry had no biological or legal connection to Lily and therefore no standing to interfere. In the courtroom, Jaffry had to sit silently while Henry's attorney described her as the childless wife who is now trying to punish an innocent little girl out of jealousy. The judge looked at her with a mixture of pity and skepticism. During one particularly brutal session, Henry took the stand and cried real tears, saying, "I never wanted to hurt Jaffry. I just wanted to be a good father to my daughter." Jaffry felt the room spinning. For weeks, she barely slept. She lost weight. Friends distanced themselves. Some days, she stared in the mirror, wondering if she really was the unstable one they claimed. The identity crisis hit hard. Who was she, if not Henry's loving wife, if not the woman who was supposed to give him children? She felt invisible, erased, just like she had been in his secret life. But in the darkest moments, something shifted inside her. The sadness hardened into resolve. She stopped crying in front of anyone. She started documenting everything with cold precision. She attended therapy, not to heal the marriage, but to strengthen herself for the war ahead. Henry thought she was breaking. He grew bolder, moving some of his things out with a smug expression, telling mutual friends that Jaffry was finally coming to her senses and would probably settle quietly. That was his first mistake. Jaffry's revenge didn't come with screaming or public scenes. It came quietly, methodically, and with devastating precision. Over several weeks, she compiled everything into a private, password-protected website, every timeline of the affair, every dollar transferred from their joint account to Marina and Lily, every message where Henry told Marina he was miserable at home but couldn't leave because of appearances, screenshots of him promising Lily he would be with you and Mommy soon, and the most damning folder of all, proof that he had been discouraging Jaffry from further fertility treatments while actively fathering a child elsewhere. She launched the site at 8 p.m. on a Friday evening. The invitation link went to every important person in their world. Henry's top clients, their closest friends, family members on both sides, even Marina's parents. No dramatic announcement, just a simple title. The Double Life My Husband Hid from Me for 11 Years. Within hours, the site spread like wildfire through their social and professional circles. Henry's biggest corporate client called him at 9:30 p.m. and terminated their multi-million-dollar contract on the spot. Marina's parents showed up at her door furious, demanding to know how long she had been part of the deception. Old friends who had sided with Henry began blocking his number. The country club board quietly revoked his membership. But Jaffry still wasn't finished. She filed an emergency motion with the court detailing the hidden assets and years of financial fraud. The judge, now armed with the website evidence, froze all accounts and ordered a full forensic audit. Henry lost the house. He lost control of the investment firm. And in the most crushing blow, he lost unsupervised visitation rights with Lily pending a complete psychological evaluation. Marina, realizing Henry had been stringing her along with empty promises for over a decade, turned on him too. She provided Jaffry's team with additional recordings and documents that sealed his fate. In one particularly painful recording, Henry could be heard telling Marina, "Jaffry will never give me what you do. She's just convenient." The final confrontation came on a rainy night 6 months after the discovery. Henry showed up at the house he no longer owned, drunk and desperate, pounding on the door. Jaffry opened it wearing the same red dress she had worn on their first date. She looked calm, radiant, and completely untouchable. "Jaffry, please," he begged, tears streaming down his face. "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I love you. We can fix this. I'll do anything." She looked at him for a long moment, the man she had once loved more than anything. Then she spoke softly, her voice steady. "You don't love me, Henry. Hey, you loved the version of me that never asked questions. The version that made your double life easy. That woman died the night I saw Lily's photo. You chose your secret family. Now live with it, alone." She closed the door gently and locked it. Henry stood on the porch in the pouring rain, broken. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Jaffry received the house, a substantial financial settlement, and something far more valuable, her freedom and her sense of self. She sold the investment firm's remaining assets and used part of the proceeds to start a foundation supporting women who discover hidden betrayals and secret families. The support group she created grew rapidly, helping hundreds of women find their voice again. Henry's firm collapsed, and he moved into a small apartment and fought ongoing battles for any visitation rights with Lily. Marina moved on with her life, focusing on raising their daughter without his lies. Jaffry never remarried, but she found peace. She redecorated the house completely, turning it into a space that finally felt like hers. On quiet evenings, she would sit on the back porch, looking at the stars, and whisper to herself, "I survived the worst betrayal, and I came out stronger." And that, my friends, is the power of refusing to stay silent when someone tries to erase you. If this story hit you hard, if you've ever been betrayed or know someone who has, drop a comment below with the word "rise" and tell me what you would have done in Jaffry's place. Which part shocked you the most? The secret apartment? The courtroom lies? Or the final rainy night confrontation? If you want more stories like this, hidden affairs, secret children, calculated revenge that leaves the cheater with nothing, make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is on. We drop new betrayal stories every week. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that they are not alone and that revenge, when done right, can be the sweetest healing.